Why it's coming out now is we wanted to wait, to get through all of the legal proceedings, the criminal trial, and it's four parts, and it spans over 30 years of, pop culture, his life. So it took some time, to say the least, to put all of this together.
It's an important story, and you could just tell it with all the public material. Mm-hmm. You go further, you've gotten your hands on some extra new material people are going to see for the first time, including this video. Any journalist would want to know how you got it, but it is Sean Diddy Combs in the heat of this, right before the arrest for the trial we just discussed, in private moments, talking to his lawyer, cameras running.
He also underestimated that with every celebrity, you do have different claims and some are completely unfounded. But I think that some of these lawsuits, there's receipts. Mm-hmm. And there's footage and there's voice recordings. And I think that for a man, it's also very interesting, for the culture of hip hop, so many artists record themselves, and they probably, when they were, recording themselves in 2005, never saw the year 2025 and how accessible that media would be to actually make a case for things. And I think that's a big part of the gumbo of Sean.
When 50 Cent's new documentary on Diddy's ascent and collapse debuted on Netflix on Tuesday, it immediately went viral. Enormous attention, offering a rush of startling events, uncommon archive footage, and frank insights from those who used to be close to Diddy's group, producing a snappy, high-energy glimpse at a world few have ever seen.
Only they can answer that question. I have my own opinion, but I wouldn't slander their name like they did mine. I wouldn't say things that I knew, you know what I mean? I believe so. I do believe so. I have proved things that I can say that will back up my claim, but this is not for the world to know about. You know what I mean? It's between me and him, and only he knows. So every time he say it didn't happen, or that's the only thing that makes this become an issue to everybody. Because you seen what I said in the Vibe article. I basically bowed out and was going to go ahead about my life. The next issue, that wasn't even the next issue, because them cowards waited about 4 issues before they got their story together. 4 issues later, half of New Yorkers commenting on me getting shot. And before, they was all like, we didn't see nothing. In the first issue, we did, Vibe viewers. Nobody seen shit. The 4th issue, when they came back with a reply, everybody knew what I did. They knew what I said. I was acting. Who gets shot 5 times in acts? Oh, I didn't get shot 5 times in their vision. I only got shot once because they found the bullet. The police found it, but now they the cops. Now they doing detective work. They found the bullet. Oh, you found the bullet, huh? So what is this other shit in me then? What was the doctors talking about? What? Can you explain these other holes in me? How'd I get gunpowder all over me? That insulted my intelligence. So yes, I did say Thug Life was there. Yes, I bowed out, all of that. But when they said that.
In the second episode of Shaw Combs' The Reckoning, musicians and former workers of Bad Boy Records provide their own insights on the circumstances behind Biggie Smalls and Tupac's deaths, offering accusations and long-held suspicions instead of verified facts. With testimonies from rapper Mark Curry, Craig Mack's ex-wife Roxanne Johnson, and Bad Boy co-founder Kirk Burrows, the series depicts a tense time when artists felt exploited, and the East-West rivalry of hip-hop in the 1990s grew more intense, creating a more nuanced and complex picture of the industry and the power struggles within it.
You've been hearing from Greg Kading, the detective that worked on Tupac and Biggie's case in this documentary. He is the investigator that did that proper agreement with Keefe D way back in 2008, where Keefe D alleged that Diddy tried to offer him $1 million to take out Tupac and Suge Knight. And Tupac's trial with Keefe D is coming up very soon in early 2026. And we know that Diddy's name has been dropped at least 200 times during these proceedings already.
Suge and Puff created the atmosphere for both of those guys to lose their life.
I honestly, when I look back on it, if he trusted Sean more, it would have been better. But he didn't trust him as much as the way Sean says they were best friends after he was dead. Nah, I didn't see that during the time we were working with him.
The documentary is one of the most enlightening exposés of Diddy ever, as it continues revealing secret after secret. He was found guilty earlier this year of 2 charges of transporting persons for prostitution-related activities under the Mann Act, and he is now serving a 15-month term at Fort Dix Federal Prison in New Jersey. He was exonerated by a jury of more serious allegations, such sex trafficking and racketeering. However, since his ex-girlfriend Cassandra Ventura filed a high-profile lawsuit in late 2023 alleging years of abuse, the news hasn't stopped. Dozens more civil lawsuits are still ongoing. Diddy is still refuting all of the charges.
Diddy Combs have now sent a cease and desist letter to Netflix.
That's right. They are demanding it not release a docuseries featuring the embattled mogul.
This documentary goes beyond just reiterating previous assertions. It's releasing fresh ones, rekindling both rumors and headlines. 6 days before Diddy's arrest, the producers obtained exclusive access to private film of him in a New York hotel room, recorded by a videographer he hired. He can be heard discussing strategies with his attorney in the videos, which show how the media's constant coverage was influencing and upending his public persona and providing viewers with an unvarnished glimpse of the conflict behind the headlines.
Documentary, I'm waiting the whole time for Aubrey O'Day to reveal some major story that happened between her and Diddy. 3 episodes in, she's basically just talking about Diddy in a very general way. It isn't until the 4th episode that Aubrey reveals a witness walked in on Aubrey O'Day completely inebriated with Diddy doing things to her, as well as a second man who they refer to as a light-skinned, tall man. Details are very explicit and not anything I could share on here. This witness revealed that it was 100% Aubrey O'Day. It was really uncertain in watching Aubrey's reaction and kind of resharing this story whether or not she fully recollected the situation. He says it couldn't have been her choice to become inebriated because that was never her issue. She never really drank a whole ton. The earlier parts of this series, Aubrey does reveal these emails, these series of emails that she got from Diddy. They were all in very sexual nature, in a very sexual tone. He's basically asking her to come over and do certain things with him. It's these very domineering emails where he's basically setting the tone that he's the boss. She says that she felt very uncomfortable about those emails, and 6 months later, she was fired from Danity.
Additionally, the show highlights the opinions of Diddy's former partners, singers, and collaborators who provide first-hand accounts of his ascent and impact. Among them, Aubrey O'Day from Making the Band offers her own experiences, giving the narrative more nuance and background while illuminating the challenges of collaborating with one of the most influential people in hip-hop.
Bad Boy, we had gotten over CCNY. It looked like the coast was clear. We were renegotiating with Arista. We were about to get a step up in the money. I had 25% of the company. I didn't know why he needed to get that back from me and then give it back to me again. I didn't understand that. That's like a trick. Like, okay, here, I gave it to you, now give it back, and don't worry, I'm gonna give it right back to you. I didn't want to give it up. So he came into my office one day unexpected, him and Kenny Marsalis, they had it planned out. Kenny had the briefcase with all the stock certificates in it, and Diddy had the bat. Not like, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you with the bat, but he had the bat like, man, we got to do this. This has to happen. I didn't feel I was gonna get beat down in that office, in all honesty. I got people that can jump out of the shadows in a minute. I wasn't threatened by him. What I was messed up over was the fact that I started this company with you from day 0, and now the one solid thing that you told me I had, you want to take that back and do a return to me on that at this critical time that we're renegotiating and getting a step up on the contract. When he told me it was about all of that renegotiating and that I should trust, I did, begrudgingly, angry, upset. It wasn't right. I did it. He got the stock back. I went on, tried to get over that, kept doing my job, doing what I had to do, delivering everything. And once again, I was caught up in the job. I forgot all about it. And next thing you know, we had the snafu. I was fired. And he just said, oh, okay, bye. And since he had never given me the stock back, he never said that he would pay me anything or give me anything. He just avoided me all these years. Not only did he avoid me all these years, running high and low, I went on and started working with Mary, who the three of us started out together.
Former bodyguard Roger Bonds says he saw Diddy behave aggressively against Cassie and admits, "When I first met him, I liked him as a person because I didn't know him." Singer Albiers, who formerly dated Kim Porter, describes what he observed. Another layer is revealed by Kirk Burrows, co-founder of Bad Boy Records, who says that he used to hold 25% of the business until Diddy reportedly threatened him with a baseball bat and had him give up his ownership. Burrows claims that this action destroyed his life, leaving him homeless and on a blacklist while Bad Boy expanded into a vast empire.
With Pac's money, Pac wanted to leave, and it could be some other shit that was going on. But they still created an atmosphere for that. You understand that East Coast, West Coast bullshit. When Suge was trying to use the New York guys to, okay man, come on, let's make some sense of this shit. And have a meeting and sit down with the New York guys and ask for a representative for Puff to come on. Puff was mad. You see now why Puff was mad. Everybody know now why Puff was mad. That he didn't want nobody to come to the meeting because Suge was playing Pay Daddy. Suge was in there playing Play Daddy with Justin. It's crazy. I said, well, how you gonna be mad at Misa and the East Coast, West Coast? And now we see why he was mad. We don't know if Suge sent Puff those pictures years ago. We don't know that. But that's why Puff didn't send a representative when Zipman was asking him, man, let me represent, just let me know. Nah, man, F that. They trying to get a black distribution company, a publishing company, all that. For hip hop artists and music. Puff and Jay-Z ain't gonna have shit to do with it. And look who get rewarded behind that. So, to answer your question, I think the atmosphere that they designed and made up led to what we know was the East Coast, West Coast war. And both of them had some responsibility in that.
Burrows subsequently filed a case, but it was rejected because of the passage of time. Nonetheless, he is still fighting other legal claims to this day. The second part delves further into the fabled rivalry between Death Row and Bad Boy, as well as the friction between the East and West Coasts that changed hip-hop. While Bad Boy included Biggie, Faith Evans, 112, and Maze, Death Row featured superstars like Dr. Dre and Tupac. However, respondents shared a startling revelation. The disagreement wasn't started by the artists. In line with Gene Deal's long-held assertions that Diddy was a major contributor to the rivalry, it was the executives, including Comas, who continued to stoke the fires until tensions erupted.
You say Suge looks over, he sees you? He looks right at you?
Yeah, he looks at me.
Okay. When he looks over at you, and then, Tupac's busy getting shot. Evidently, the story is Tupac's trying to either get out
in the back seat or something.
Yeah, what do you see happening inside their car?
I seen a bullet going Suge's head. I thought he was dead.
So Orlando across Dre?
He leaned over on the window, we rolled down the window, pop. They would drove on my side, I would pop them. You know what I'm saying? But they was on the other side.
According to the documentary, the label competition swiftly went beyond music and turned into a full-fledged gang war, with the Bloods supporting Suge Knight and Death Row, and the Crips allegedly supporting Bad Boy and Biggie. It alleges that Diddy was at the center, connected to suspected heroin dealer Dwayne Key Davis via Eric Von Zip, a prominent member in New York's gang scene whom Diddy previously referred to as his uncle. In the series, recordings and commentary from retired LAPD officer Greg Kading revealed Davis describing how he and his nephew Orlando Anderson carried out Tupac's 1996 killing in Las Vegas. Although the Netflix video cannot be broadcast, the series has interviews with people like Keith D, who describe Tupac's narrative in their own words, giving the dramatic events a personal account.
I'm not gonna go into details on that one. Keep it streets on me. I ain't gonna go into detail on that.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and read from the book.
Well, so let them buy the book then.
Okay. Well, I'm just gonna read this passage. The shit was on. Tupac made an erratic move and began to reach down beneath his seat. It was the first and only time in my life that I could relate to the police command, keep your hands where I could see them. Instead, Pac pulled out a strap, and that's when the fireworks started. One of my guys from the back seat grabbed the Glock and started busting back. The first skin shook in the head, and I thought that mother was dead. I had heard some stories, supposedly that Suge used Tupac as a shield when the bullets started flying, but that's some bullshit. Suge was already wounded, and he was the one that got touched. As the rounds continued flying, I ducked down so I wouldn't get hit.
Basically, yeah.
The white Cadillac arm came out the back seat and started letting off.
What went through your head when you saw that?
They my name.
In KPD's 2008 proper agreement, he alleged that Diddy's friend Zip Martin is the one that gave him the weapon that was used to take out Tupac. And KPD told the investigator Greg Kading that Zip Martin had a special compartment to keep this weapon in his car that he drove to Las Vegas. And in this documentary, we have Greg Kading confirming that Zip Martin did drive the same type of vehicle that KPD alleged to Las Vegas this night. And then during this documentary, we heard from the former president of Bad Boy, Kirk Burroughs, who alleged during this time, Diddy had him hiring a whole bunch of people and getting cars to drive to Las Vegas. And he is now very curious into why Diddy wanted to do this. And he said, in his opinion, he now believes that Diddy was behind taking out.
Davis also said that Diddy had offered to pay him and other gang members to target Suge Knight and Tupac Shakur, who were in the same vehicle at the time of the historic shooting. However, Davis claims that the payment never materialized, in part because Knight survived the assault and in part because the money allegedly vanished with Von Zip, who has since died. This adds another terrifying and complicated layer to the already contentious web of allegations surrounding Diddy.
There was the rumor that after Pac got Puffy gave Zip $1 million that was supposed to be handed over, and Zip ended up keeping it. And I remember when I interviewed TK Kirkland, who was actually roommates with Zip at one point. They were that close. He actually said, yeah.
The feds said that too.
He said that actually happened. Well, the story that has circulated was that after Tupac got, Puffy allegedly gave the money.
I heard
to Zip.
Yes.
And Zip was supposed to give the money to Keefe and them.
Yes.
But he never gave the money to him.
But thank God he never gave him the money, right? Think about it. If he gave the money, Puffy will be in prison now, money for hire. So thank God. It's just a true story. I'm not saying yes or no, but if he would have gave them the money, it'd have been a for hire and Puffy would be locked up.
Yeah, I said he's a dirty mo.
Despite Biggie's obvious reluctance, Sparrows said that Diddy forced Christopher Wallace, also known as Biggie, to go to Los Angeles to promote his record. Biggie's sad death in 1997 resulted from this trip, and he argued that he had really put Biggie in danger. Later, he accused Diddy of misleading the public by saying that Biggie made the choice to go on the trip, rather than him, throwing a clear shadow over Diddy's long-presented story.
Been speaking on the situation with Biggie, how he was the one in charge of planning this London media trip for Biggie that he was supposed to be on the night that he was actually unalived. Kirk Burroughs claims Diddy is the one that canceled this trip and Biggie did not want to go out to Los Angeles. And Kirk Burroughs feels like Diddy should be responsible for what happened to Biggie. What Kirk Burroughs alleged next is what's really chilling. He said something that we have heard alleged many times, and he said that Biggie was actually leaving Bad Boy Records shortly before he passed away. Kirk Burroughs alleged that Biggie already signed the paperwork to get out from underneath Bad Boy. Then Kirk Burroughs went on to allege that after Biggie passed away, Diddy came to him and told him to change the terms in the contract that Biggie signed. And he claimed that he was so calculated that he told Kirk Burroughs Burroughs to just switch out the middle pages. That way on the last page, Biggie's signature would still be there. That way Diddy could allegedly keep racking up money.
Kirk Burroughs has further disclosed that Diddy and Biggie's relationship was very different from the intimate, encouraging bond Diddy has long portrayed. He explains that they were far from close and that Diddy showed little concern for Biggie's safety, painting a troubling picture that directly contradicts the public persona he has painstakingly maintained.
For Biggie to go to LA so soon, knowing that Tupac got killed 6 months earlier.
The award show season was up. We had to go out there to participate in that. We had records that were nominated. We were a budding, launching company that already launched and we were successful. We could not go, but Biggie did have an inconvenience. He had a car accident. I think it was in Brooklyn, maybe downtown Brooklyn. He had a broken femur at that time, and he was recovering from that. Big sized person, could not really sit comfortably in a plane, not even first class, with a cast on. It was uncomfortable. He was talked into going to the LA portion of the trip so that he could be out there ahead of time. He was out in LA so there wouldn't be a big rush and bustle to get him there. So I think he was out there for a good week and a half ahead of time leading into the event. So being out there, we came to follow up and to have that night. And then he was supposed to, as per Arista marketing department, Arista, one of the best labels and distribution companies that you can have to back you. The legendary Clive Davis, who's backed so many artists, believed in Bad Boy so much. He put together a marketing campaign that was never seen before that campaign and still wasn't seen, but it was put together so that Biggie could receive an international press junket in London with all press from around the world meeting him that Saturday, Sunday, after the Friday award show night. He was supposed to go on an international flight with me. We have the itinerary still to this day. He was supposed to leave that early morning, go to London, and we would be out there for 2 or 3 days, and then he would go back to New York and go home. Diddy called Sean P. Diddy, whatever his name was during that time, called late Friday night, early Saturday morning, saying he's not going to London. Call Arista, cancel it. You go. You represent it. You go. He's not going. He wants to stay here in LA.
Kirk then went on to explain that Diddy pulled the budget for Biggie's security on purpose, so he would be left undefended.
You have a budget for everything that you do. The budget for Big in LA for the award show ended that Friday night, Saturday morning, when a new budget started to get him from LA to London, where he would be taken care of with security, his friends, and everyone that he wanted to be with him in the style that he was accustomed to handle the press junket. When that didn't happen, that budget was never opened. The budget for LA ended, and there was a great need for security that Saturday night, and he was out without that security. The beef up. And we lost him. And in that decision, what it put us in, that decision put us in the worst situation that we could have ever been in. We lost our number one talent. We're on a West Coast where we're surrounded by enemies who told us not to be here. We really shouldn't have been there, but we were. Now we have to get out of there. At that time, I brought most of the company with me. I had a lot of interns, young people. I had to account for them with their parents. We had to get them home. That weekend, I think we had to get Sean out first. 1, 2, 3 steps in the trunk of a car, moving out the city limits to another airport on that flight out. I stayed until Sunday-ish or so, making sure all the interns, all the executives, every last one of the kids that was out there with us was back east. And then we had to make preparations for Big's family to know where he was at, for them to make preparations to bring him back home a week or so later. So that was the job. And then I slowly crept up.
Biggie's mother has openly stated in interviews that she thinks Diddy might have played a role in her son's premature death. This adds a very intimate and eerie viewpoint to the accusations and heightens the scrutiny of the terrible incidents that have long marred his legacy, making the controversy even more complicated and emotionally charged.
Oh, hi, Gene. How are you?
All right, man. You know I ain't seen you since I came to your house and had that conversation with you. How you been? You all right?
I've been okay. I've been watching you on Facebook.
I'm sorry, Ms. Wallace. I'm sorry I had to do what I had to do, but you know, it is what it is.
I know you do.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Like I told people, I said if Ms. Wallace would have called me and told me to shut it down, I would have shut it down. Ms. Wallace ain't called. She knew how to get in touch with me. If Ms. Wallace didn't tell me to shut it down, I'm going to keep doing it because I respect you, Ms. Wallace.
And do what you do.
First thing I said was, Ms. Wallace, if you tell me to stop, leave Puff, stop, no, I didn't say leave Puff. If you tell me to stop doing what I'm doing, I will. She said, no, G, I watch you. You keep doing it. You doing a good job. Man, listen here. Yo, I was happier than one of them boys at a Diddy party. I was so happy, man, it was crazy. Cause this was the first time I had talked to Ms. Wallace since the last time I talked to her and was telling her about Big's death. And she said I didn't want to.
All of these accusations have been categorically refuted by Diddy. And his only true defense could be that denial. Because the carefully crafted public image he has spent decades cultivating and defending might be completely destroyed if even one of these instances gained momentum or unraveled, leaving his reputation exposed in ways few could have predicted. Could Diddy face fresh legal action as a result of this eye-opening documentary? We look forward to hearing your thoughts. Participate in the conversation about what could happen next in this high-profile, high-stakes story that has enthralled both fans and critics by leaving your opinions, hypotheses, and predictions in the comments section below.